Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I am a certified functional medicine practitioner practicing right here in Boca Raton, Florida. And today I want to talk to you about food sensitivities and specifically if you have gone gluten-free but you are still suffering with a chronic condition, whether that chronic condition is fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, chronic fatigue, musculoskeletal pain, sciatica, carpal tunnel, diabetes, or even gastrointestinal disorders, thyroid problems. I consult with a lot of chronic condition patients. They tell me that they've gone gluten-free, but they still continue to suffer. And I feel that that's a shame because they haven't been told the proper information as to how food sensitivities are contributing to their problem even though they've gone gluten-free. So let's talk about that. So typically what happens is I'll have a patient and they'll tell me I did all the allergy testing, they did the skin fold tests on my arms, and they found that I have an allergy to dust, or I have an allergy to maybe dander, or I have an allergy um, to dogs and cats, or I may even have an allergy to peanuts or whatever it may be. You need to understand that having an allergy is having an IgE mediated response, which means it's an immediate anaphylactic response that creates a reaction on your skin, and that's why they do a skin fold test. But then I'll ask a patient, well, have you ever had a food sensitivity test? And they'll say, yeah, I did the skin fold test. And I said, no, that's different. That is not a food sensitivity test. We're testing IgA and IgG mediated responses, which basically means your immune system has different ways to respond. It responds immediately by producing IgE, and that's an allergy, or it responds in a delayed reaction, could be anywhere between 48 to 72 hours, and it produces antibodies just like the IgE is, but these antibodies are slower responding, or it takes a little bit longer to come out. They're not called true allergies, they're called intolerances or sensitivities. So basically what happens is your gut breaks down and they have undigested particles like gluten or wheat or whatever, bread or pasta, that doesn't break down, and then your immune system creates an antibody and it reacts to that. And unfortunately that antibody will create a lot of problems. It can create autoimmunity, so it could create Hashimoto's, or it could create IBS and Crohn's or colitis, or it could even create neurological disorders like Parkinson's or ALS or MS. And so let's talk about food sensitivities with the cross-reactive testing. So what I do is I send patients to a lab called Cyrex Labs. You can look online. It's called cyrexlabs.com, and they are the best lab in the world for testing against food antigens and reactivities. Which leads me to another point. I have a lot of patients that say, "Well, I did the what is it, the ALCAT test, and that tests a lot of different foods, but the problem is it's not testing antibody production. It's just testing a reactivity in terms of inflammation in a petri dish. So it doesn't tell you specific antibodies or intolerances that you're responding to. So let's go forward. So I don't typically recommend even doing the gluten testing because a lot of the times patients just that have a chronic condition should be off of gluten. For many reasons, I'll produce another video, but suffice to say that you have GMOs, you have hybrids, you have sprays and Roundup, and you have arsenic, and you have all of these different environmental toxins that are associated and embed themselves on the grain peptide structure and creates reactivity. So what I do is I do a cross-reactive test. So let's say you're going gluten-free, and then you go to the grocery store, you go to the gluten-free section, and you get gluten-free bread or gluten-free crackers or gluten-free pasta. Typically there's going to be another flour in there, and the flour is not made from wheat, but it's grounded down from a grain that's similar to wheat and could create reactivity. So gluten-free doesn't necessarily mean reactivity-free, and hopefully you understand that. So what is this array number 4 test for? Cross-reactive test. It tests for rye, barley, spelt, Polish wheat. Those are things that we tend to eat in breads. It tests for all of the dairy peptides like cow's milk, casein alpha and beta, caseomorphin, milk butyrophin, whey protein. Whey protein is a huge problem. It's in a lot of the protein powders. I see a lot of people that exercise that do that every single day of their life, and they have no idea that they're reacting to milk. And the problem is you may be reacting to cow's milk, but you may not be reacting to any of those other reactions. And sometimes you'll do a LabCorp test and they'll only test casein alpha and you were negative. However, you were reacting to a lot of those other ones that weren't tested. So you were falsely negative, you were eating dairy, and you had reactivity. We also test against oats, yeast, coffee, buckwheat, sorghum. Sorghum, I actually reacted to sorghum. I went gluten-free, and they use sorghum for the fermentation of gluten-free beer. And I was having a couple gluten-free beers made with sorghum, and it was still causing me a problem. So I learned direct hand, even though I was going gluten-free, I wasn't reactivity-free. Millet, hemp hearts are used a lot in protein powders. Amaranth, quinoa pasta we've tried. Tapioca, that is yuca. A lot of my Spanish patients take that, or it's an add-in that keeps the stickiness consistency of a bread. Teft, soy. I think people should be off of soy anyways. 90% of the soy that's out there is hybrid or GMO'd. Eggs is a very common one. Corn, rice, potato. So we do this test right here in Boca Raton, Florida. Unfortunately, insurance is not going to pay for it, but we do this as part of our metabolic workup to tell if a patient is reacting to these foods. And if they are, we can assume that they have leakiness of their gut, which I'll make another video for. But suffice to say, the permeability or the breaking down of these foods being undigested or partially digested go into the immune system, and your immune system attacks it, and then the next thing you know, you're gluten-free and you're still suffering with fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, can't sleep, have no energy, feel cold all the time, you're not losing your weight, and it could be because of these food sensitivities that no one has ever told you about. And if you have a thyroid problem and no one has ever told you that you should be identifying foods that you could be reacting to besides gluten, then you've been done a disservice. So just wanted to give you a little information. If you like what I had to say, just give me a thumbs up or a like or a comment. Be sure to check out my website at bocahealthcarecenter.com, or give me a call, 561-883-0090, and let David or Sydney know that you've watched my food sensitivity test, and we can tell you how we can go forward and give you some help. So look forward to helping you in the future, and I hope you got a lot of value out of this video today. Thank you so much.